Hello, you beautiful souls. I thought I've just been for a lovely walk, and the views here are absolutely stunning. I just wanted to come on and have a little bit of a chat today, really. Um, I haven't done a walk for a while, so I thought I'd come up and come out the way and do a bit of thinking. There's lots of stuff going on in the background at the minute with books and the new website build and lots of other stuff. So I kind of come away and bit of a wonder and just kind of collects my thoughts as I do. Um, I think this kind of way of life. We see a lot of different people in a few of the different groups. They kind of. I think it's fair to say that a lot of people think their way is the only way. If you do something that they don't agree with, you're wrong. I think there is no right way. There is no wrong way. When you are living this kind of sovereign life, when you are home educating, when you are traveling, or even if you're in one place, there's no right or wrong way, and I think everybody kind of finds their own way. Um, for example, Sam kind of keeps getting into a few debates, let's say, in some of the homeschooling groups, the world schooling and kind of unschooling groups. And I think, we don't use the terminology schooling. You've probably seen in a few posts that we don't usually use the term schooling anymore. We use education, so home education, world education, wild learning. Because school kind of still ties you down to that system, doesn't it? If you've got schooling in, I think what a lot of homeschoolers do, or world schoolers, we've noticed actually, world schoolers seem to travel different countries and put their children into a schooling system there. So they might be there a few months, then they'll take that child out and then move on to another country and put them into another schooling system, which kind of, I think, defeats the object of not being in the system. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I think it defeats the object of not being in the system. But surely that must kind of confuse the children even more, because they're making friends, then they're kind of uprooting and moving again, and then making friends and uprooting again in that schooling system. I know we travel full time, but Dylan's not in that kind of schooling system. We free learn, we are child led, so we learn by being out in nature, by the beach, at a castle. At the moment, I'm in an ancient fort actually. That's over 5,000 years old, and I've come up here to have a wander, and it's a circle. And you can see for miles and miles and miles across the South Downs, and as you can see out to sea behind me. And I've come up today because I'm going to bring Dylan up tomorrow. I wasn't quite sure what it was like, so I've come for a walk today, and Dylan and Sam are going to come with me tomorrow. And Dylan is going to write up a story and about the history of this site, and what it was used for and what it's been used for. There's ancient flint mines and stuff underneath us as well, and Dylan's going to go through the history. And this is exactly what free learning is. It's child-led learning. He likes the walks, he likes the history of places, he likes going to see the castles, so he will write about that. That's his English in there as well, because he's creative writing about it. He's learning his history, and he's learning his geography. It's just because we're not sat at a desk with workbooks or charts on the wall, it doesn't mean he's not learning, and he's not silly by any means. We've noticed he's flourished, and he's asked questions of things that he would never have asked if he was in that educational schooling system. So I think that being out in nature, being child-led, as I say, there is no right or wrong way. Everybody will find their own footing, their own way of doing things, how they how they feel comfortable. You know, a lot of people say, you know, it costs a fortune to home educate. Absolutely not. It doesn't. You know, all this is free. You know, you can go to the beach for free. You can walk in nature for free. You go shopping normally anyway. That's an educational visit. You know, if you're planning trips out, you know, that's geography. That could be a bit of maths in there. It could be science in there, depending on what you're doing. You know, going for a walk, you know, you'll look at the fauna and the flowers and the plants that grow here. You know, that's his science, that's his biology. You know, it's really hard, because to try and get through to some people that every experience you have, every waking moment is a learning experience. And that, you know, that gives you such a broader range of subjects, topics that you can actually learn, except, you know, apart from, you know, sitting at a desk or at home or wherever you are choosing to do your work, and just copying from textbooks and remembering, you know, from textbooks without actually experiencing the real thing. You know, you'll find that your children will learn more because they're more engaged, and they're more engaged when they're out and they're doing things and they're hands-on. You know, children are more engaged and they're more active and more open to learn if they're engaged in what you're actually teaching them, or they're teaching themselves, I should say. You know, we don't actually teach Dylan stuff. Dylan will ask questions and then we'll answer those questions. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find the answer together. And that is, you know, that is how the best way to do this is, we find anyway. Not being stuck behind a desk, or, you know, at the kitchen table for hours and hours and hours on end, you know, looking through workbooks with study charts and all the rest of it. You know, that's, you may as well keep them in school. As far as, you know, that's just our opinion again, you know, I'm voicing our own opinion. But, you know, you're taking them out of a schooling system because your child, for one reason or another, is not managing, not coping, not getting on well in that system. So for me, why would you put them in the same system doing the same thing, albeit in a different environment? If they're not flourishing in that environment, then why put them into the same thing? It just doesn't, it baffles me, that part of that part of people's journey. But I guess, you know, unschooling is the first topic that I think anybody needs to do. You need to unlearn that system. As parents too, this isn't just for the children. You need to unlearn all the systems and everything that you've been taught is right. Because, you know, becoming on this journey, on this sovereign journey, everything that we've been taught is wrong. It's a lie. It's been taught to us to trap us, to keep us in a cage when we're not supposed to be. So you need to unlearn all of that stuff first before even thinking about sitting down with workbooks, textbooks, without doing anything. You need to learn to unschool first, and unschool your children, unschool you, and then sit down and think, what is the best way that we can do this together? That's what you really need to do, I think, and to get the full benefit out of it for yourself and for your children too. You know, when you can come to amazing places, you've seen me walking through forests, you've seen me walking at beaches. You know, I'm at an ancient fort now that's over 5,000 years old. You know, the history, the geography, the science, the everything that we can learn is already here. You've just got to understand that we learn more than you would do in a classroom, but we just do it in a different manner, in a different way, in a way that Dylan responds to, he reacts to, he loves, he enjoys. You know, he doesn't enjoy sitting at a desk, he doesn't enjoy sitting looking at workbooks, he doesn't enjoy looking at charts on the wall and what time each subject is going to be. He doesn't enjoy that, and I don't think most kids do. And it's that part that you've got to unschool, both as children and as adults as well. You know, and I think if you go through that and you unschool and you start having fun with things, I think things will seem a lot easier and a lot less manageable. You don't have to manage your children certain times and everything like that. You know, this is just free, and we do it as and when. If we don't want to do too much one day, then we won't. We'll just chill out and do something else. You know, it's not about timetables. It's not about lesson plans. It's about education. And education can be found absolutely anywhere, guys. It really can. Anyway, the wind's picking up now, so that's it. Just a quick one for me today. Love and light to you all, and as always, look after yourselves and each other. I'm going to finish my sandwich and I'm going to walk around the rest of this fort. So until the next time, guys, take care.